settlement in which most of the people are engaged in agriculture, forestry, mining and fishery is known as rural settlement. It is often called as agricultural workshop. Most of the world's settlements are rural and they are stable and permanent. They are of three types. Compact settlements. A compact settlement is based on farming. These are mostly found in highly productive alluvial plains like Indo-Gangetic plains, the Havang-Ho Valley, Valley o Nile. The houses are compact and congested with narrow plains. The size of these settlements depend on nature and resources of surrounding country. They have a high degree of segregation and differentiation of the upper and lower castes. Compact settlements are also found in hunting and fishing communities. Semi-compact settlement. Semi-compact is a transitional phase in the growth of compact settlement. The emergence is because of the difference of semi-arid regions from humid regions and marginal productive land to that of fertile land. Increase in population cause villages to grow in number of houses. These houses occupy open spaces and lead to semi-compact settlement, which ultimately acquires a nucleated settlement. Dispersed settlement. These are generally found in hills, plateaus and grasslands. These are found in areas where it is essential that the farmer should live on his own land. Overpopulation is one of the reasons for dispersed settlement. If a part of the population left a village to find a new one, they often found dispersed rather than a new village. Dispersed settlements are relatively recent in age like steppe grasslands of Kazakhstan. Pattern of settlement is defined as the relationship between one house or building to another. It can be identified by reading and observing a local scale map. The patterns of settlement deal with compact and semi-compact only, as dispersed has its own shape. The socio-cultural factors like caste structure or a functional need of people has a close bearing on its shape and size. The rural settlements are classified under following patterns: rectangular, linear, circular, semicircular, star-like, triangular and nebular pattern. However, some patterns do emerge depending upon the site of the village, layout of streets and arrangement of buildings in the village. The most common patterns of rural settlements found in India are rectangular or square, checkerboard, elongated linear, circular or semicircular, L and T-shape triangular pattern. The most common is the rectangular or square pattern. This is mainly found in areas of uniform topography. One of the major reasons for this pattern is the rectangular shape of the cultivated fields. This pattern is conspicuously found in proper Malwa Plateau, Nimar upland and in Narmada Valley plain around Maheshwar. In a large rectangular village, two main lanes intersect each other at right angles at the center. Other small lanes go to interior houses running more or less parallel to the former main lanes. In between these lanes, houses are arranged in sectors or castes. Thus, the main and the secondary lanes combined with rectangular sub-blocks present checkerboard or chessboard pattern. The lanes and houses are designed in such a way that most of the houses have easy access to the nearest well. In such villages, high caste Brahmins or Rajputs occupy the central position and lower castes inhabit the marginal areas. Another important pattern is that of the elongated village, where one axis of the village is markedly longer than the other. This pattern is found along the higher ground level in inundated areas, dissected topography from two sides, narrow strip between two streams and at the edge of an alluvial terrace. Sometimes this pattern may be observed along a road or a waterfront. Linear pattern is quite common along roads, railway lines and waterfronts, etc. The main street of the village runs parallel to the road, railway line or waterfront, and most of the village shops are located on this street. Such pattern is found largely in middle and lower Ganga plain, parts of the Himalayan region and along the coasts, especially in Malabar and Konkan. Sometimes at the junction of a main road and a minor street or track, two rectangular blocks of houses meet at right angles, giving L-shaped pattern. In some villages, a smaller limb extends towards cultivated fields at an angle to give L shape a new form resembling T pattern. Such a limb also develops from a main rectangular or elongated form of village into T-shaped following the terrain. Semicircular plan develops along the bend of streams and crescent-shaped meanders. On the arcuate bends of river meanders, a special form of settlement known as horseshoe pattern develops. Triangular pattern appears under special conditions of topographical barriers characterized by negative land features on three sides. The other common pattern of Indian villages are fan pattern, oval pattern, polygonal pattern, radial pattern, star-like pattern, terrace or contour pattern. Some villages do not have any particular shape and are called shapeless or amorphous villages. Such villages are found in southwest of Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Rajasthan, Malwa Plateau, Chota Nagpur Plateau, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, etc. The study of the classification of village community assumes significance for several reasons. Its study enables us to understand varied social institutions and cultural patterns operating in the rural context. Furthermore, such a classification is instrumental in analyzing the development of special village community. Rural sociologists are not unanimous on any generally agreed upon classification of rural community. However, some of the important criteria have been put forth to classify village communities. According to one criterion, villages have been divided into three categories. They are migratory agricultural villages, semi-permanent agricultural villages and permanent agricultural villages. Migratory agricultural villages refer to the villages where the people live in fixed abodes only for few months. Semi-permanent agricultural villages are characterized by people living in a village only for few months. So far as permanent agricultural villages are concerned, the people live for generations. According to another criterion, villages have been classified into isolated farmstead villages, line villages, circular pattern, market center settlements and hamlets. So far as isolated farmstead is concerned, the individual lives on his farm with his farmland surrounding him. Village as a pattern of settlement signifies concentration of the ruralities together with their farmland. The nucleated village. It is otherwise known as grouped village. In this type of village, homes of farmers and artisans are clustered together, whereas the land cultivated by them is located outside the village at varying distances. Their livestock are often housed along with them or nearby. Irrespective of the variety of shapes, such villages are characterized by a close-knit social organization fostered by residential proximity, contact, community sentiments and ideas. In the Indian context, nucleated village is the most common pattern of settlement, mostly discernible in paddy growing areas. The linear village. In linear type of settlement, the houses are built on parallel rows. There is very little or no physical demarcation to show where one village ends and where another begins. Small streams or mountains separate one village from the other and serve as natural boundaries. Each house is surrounded by a small garden of coconuts, plantations and cashew nuts. The rice fields are at a little distance from the house. This pattern unites the social advantages of residential closeness and economic advantages of living on one's own land. Such villages are found in Kerala, in the delta land of Bengal. Dispersed village. The village in which the dwelling places of the village lay scattered or diffused is called a dispersed village. This type of village is found in hill areas as in the Himalayan foothills, in the highlands of Gujarat, etc. These villages have no definite shape or structure and no village streets. There are only footpaths connecting one cluster with another. Families living on their farms retain all the livestock and other possessions in the farm. The mixed village. Mixed village is the mixture of nucleated and dispersed pattern of settlement. In this type of village settlement, there is a larger compact settlement of houses which is surrounded by a few small hamlets at a distance. Such villages can be seen both in plain as well as hill areas. there is considerable variation in the layout, distribution and internal structure of village communities. 4 criteria are adopted in classifying them into major categories. They are permanency, settlement, social stratification and social organization. Permanency refers to the process of transition from man's nomadic life to settled village life. Settlement signifies pattern of ecological distribution of residences of social groups. Social stratification implies forms and extent of social differentiation, ranking in a stratification system, degree of mobility admitted by the system, as well as patterns of ownership of land. Last but not least, organization reflects the way village communities organize their life in common. Typically, cooperative, semi-collective and collective villages have been delineated in rural sociology. Although there are several ways of classifying villages, classification based on size, population and area of land is the most popular and accepted classification of villages. On the basis of this criteria, following classes of villages are recognized. Pura, the place where a habitat had been in ancient days and where chief habitats are all around or nearby areas is called Pura. This habitat can thus be called the nucleus of the area. In agricultural areas, solitary habitats generally become Puravas, which under favorable circumstances grow into villages. Khas. The word khas is used for the main village or sadar. Sometimes people of the main village settle at some distance and call this new village after their main village. When the population increases, the word khas is used for the village from where people spread around. Kalan. The word Kalan is used for large villages and used at the end of the name of the village, that means bound Kalan. People of several classes and castes live in such villages. Kurd. The word Kurd is a degraded form of the Urdu word Barkhudar, meaning son or small. Therefore, this word is used for small villages. That means Dumarka Kurd. Khera. This word is used for small colonies and also for the higher land of the village. Khera has great social value for the village community because almost all the shows such as Ramleela Nautanki take place here. In some areas, the word Khera is used for those places where the ruins of an ancient fort are found. Nagle. It comprises a group of small villages where one village is surrounded by several satellite villages. The tribes of India are classified into different groups on the basis of geographical location, language, race and levels of their socio-economic development. The People of India project, conducted under the auspices of Anthropological Survey of India, enumerated 461 tribal communities, of which 174 have been identified as subgroups. Our constitution recognizes 212 tribes, and these tribes are found in different parts of the country. Under the Scheduled Tribes List Modification Order 1956, there are 414 tribes in India. Classification of tribes on the basis of geographical location. As the tribal population of India is widely dispersed, there is no single definite and acceptable way of classifying the regions inhabited by the tribes. More commonly used classification are the Himalayan region, Middle India, Western India, South India, and islands or Northeastern India, Middle India, Southern India, Northwestern Himalayas, and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. However, the administrative boundaries do not necessarily coincide with the demarcation of traditional habitats. Territorially, tribes in India are divided into three major zones, namely North-Northeastern Zone, Central Zone, Southern Zone. North to Northeastern Zone: Eastern Kashmir, Eastern Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Northern Uttar Pradesh, Nagaland, Assam, etc. constitute this zone. The Aka, the Mishmi, the Chulikata and the Naga are some of the tribes of the zone. Central Zone: Bihar, Bengal, Southern Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Orissa come under this zone. The Kond, the Santal, the Bil, the Gonda, the Muria and Baiga are only a few of the large number of tribes of this zone. There is a concentration of tribal people in this zone. Over 85% of the total tribal population inhabits this zone. Southern Zone: The southern consists of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Kerala. The Toda, the Chenchu, the Kadar and the Koraga are some of the important tribes of this zone. There is another isolated zone constituting the Andaman and Nicobar Island. The Java, the Andamanese and Nicobaris are some of the important tribes of this zone.